My definition of art, it's like the connecting piece. It's that piece that's like the extra thing that's there that you don't always appreciate, but it's a thing that you always need to be there.
I was like, slow down your New York walk. Slow down your New York walk.
And we're in ugly, so.
Doors open!
My work is totally led by joy and just my love of color and bringing that kind of fun, creative energy to people and spaces that I'm occupying. I love all things design related. Like, I love being in a beautifully designed space. I love looking at something handcrafted and having those things fill my space. I think my work's always felt really fun and celebratory and festive as someone who loves just kind of like celebrating the little things. I'm Christina Kwiek. I'm the owner and designer, creative director of X&Co studio based in Brooklyn, New York. I run my own creative business here and do all kinds of things from commercial lettering, illustration, branding, packaging, and murals. The first time or first memories I have of doing kind of like creative things or exploring my artistic side, definitely really little. I've always loved like making things with my hands, doing crafts. Like, that was my favorite thing to do for holidays, and my mom caught on, I think, really quick with like, I always wanted to make a little figurine or like quilt something or crochet something. Making, I think, was just kind of like the tie-in. In school, when I started getting more positive encouragement about my art and kind of like more traditional ways like painting and drawing, that was really fun and encouraged me to kind of keep pushing with that type of thing and exploring that more and using new mediums. I had a high school art teacher who, I mean, was really encouraging to me, but also kind of pushed me into taking it to a professional level, where she was like, I think you should go to art school. I think you should pursue this. Like, if you want to do it, I think you should do it. And she opened this whole doorway for me that I didn't even know was a thing. I did not even know art school was a thing. I didn't know you could like just go to college and paint and draw for 6 hours a day. So I think probably like high school age was the first time I started to really feel like, okay, I think I have something here that maybe I can make into something bigger if I like really commit to it. At the end of high school, I had a major decision to make. I danced ballet like hardcore since I was 3 until 17, and was studying that whole time with the idea in mind of pursuing that as my career. I was working on that dream like truly up until the 11th hour. That's what I saw myself doing. That was the fork in the road, I think, for the first time. That was like my alternate existence that could have been is me pursuing a dance career. So it was definitely a weird feeling to be like stepping into a new version of myself. But I also think it was really freeing in a way, because it was like, okay, let's like really like grow into the next version of you. And it was nice to feel like the world was my oyster a little bit, that it wasn't just like a predefined path that I always thought. I love that I've been able to pursue this creative career and kind of like build it into something that feels like totally perfectly fit to me. I went to MICA, Maryland Institute College of Art, which is in Baltimore, and It was a whirlwind. It was like shell shock, I feel like, from my previous life. And everybody is kind of like you, so it's like everyone is a creative person. Everyone's the artsy kid from their high school. Moving to New York and working here after college was another like crazy jump. I think I only had like about 3 weeks after I graduated before I was like living in New York. It was wild. That was the biggest transformational part of my life, like to this day. New identity, new environment, new people around you. But my first full-time job working as a designer, it really was like, okay, we're in the big leagues now and it's time to just like really hit it and try to make this work, because I'd always wanted to live in New York for a long time. Before X&Co was a real fast and furious rip through some full-time jobs. Yeah, I started at a really small studio called Dressler, and then I moved to Time Magazine, and then moved to Forbes, and then my last full-time job was at Loft, and I was coming home from work doing my own work every night anyways, so I started to feel like something was missing. And I was like, why do I feel the need to keep making so much stuff on top of what I'm already being paid to do at work? And it was just like that passion piece that was gone. So I think the table started to turn a little bit, and I was like, as soon as I can figure out a way to make this work, I want to do more of this and less of that. I had a freelance opportunity that truly fell into my lap when I was at my last full-time job. It was for a project with Etsy and Pinterest that was like through another agency, and I was like, that's my ticket, I'm taking it. I quit my job. I gave not enough notice. That was bad. That just started like a spur of a couple years of me. I just immediately went freelance from that. Honestly, about the pandemic time, like 2020, I basically lost all my work at that point. I went on unemployment because I had no income. Then, since the pandemic, I really was like, okay, I've got to figure out how to make this work for myself and really make this into a business where I'm getting my own clients. X&Co was started. I go by Xtina to my friends and my family, so I wanted my business to be named X&Co. It's taking the leap and then also sticking with that commitment through what's going to come your way. Some of my favorite clients and projects from the past couple years, I did a gift card for Target, which was like, I'll never feel like that was real. There's also a restaurant called Possibilities from where I grew up in Syracuse, and I did a whole rebrand with them. That was such like a heartwarming project that I'm so proud of. Yeah, those are two of my favorites. Now I do branding work for big and small clients. I do packaging design work. I do commercial lettering and illustration work for companies, campaigns, and I also do murals. How this all started: a woman who was kind of the interior designer person who was working with this company Elastic on their new office in New York City. They were looking for kind of somebody to bring into the office to help bring the new office space to life. They currently had a New York office, but they were moving to a new space that was being totally renovated into this really awesome, really unique new environment. So there was an interest there to bring in and use kind of this really long lobby wall as like a statement piece in the office and install a mural on it. So this woman was kind of looking on the internet, looking on Pinterest, I think, to kind of find inspiration for that, and stumbled across my work. So I submitted a proposal for that, and we ended up deciding it was a good fit to work together, and then things took off from there in the design phase. After kind of the sketch of the whole wall was approved, then the color phase came in, which was really fun. I knew kind of Elastic's brand colors. They have really bright brand colors They kind of wanted a more subtle version of this mural, so kind of not tons of color, but pops here and there. I also was working with the woman who was kind of doing the interior design finishes, so I kind of knew some of those pieces, like what tiles are being used, what materials for countertops or for floors or furniture. So I kind of took all of that to make kind of like a two-tone color palette of brighter pops of color that felt like their brand, along with some more like subtle and more pastel versions to kind of support those and really hopefully seamlessly blend everything into the office so it would really fit. They wanted their employees to walk in. This was also the first thing you see when you get up the elevators going into this office, so it's kind of like you're hit in the face with this immediate art piece. Just a moment to kind of like reflect and enjoy something positive and uplifting as they're kind of working throughout the day and going from different parts of the office. So that was something I really tried to keep in mind. Day one was part like extreme excitement to actually get started because I was kind of like waiting for so long to actually start painting it, but also total panic initially because looking at a 94-foot wall that's blank is like, wow, this is gonna have to not be blank by the end of this. And also just because of the circumstances, there is live construction happening at this point in time in the office, so I'm seeing wires hanging, I'm seeing unfinished pieces of the wall, I'm seeing people building things, there are people installing things, there's people welding things, sparks are flying, it's extremely loud, kind of things in not a totally polished state, so I'm just thinking, okay, I've got to just take this piece by piece and get started, but it was like a really crazy experience to just be like, all right, we're gonna be in a different world for a little while and I'm just gonna have to like run with this. Scheduling everything out and estimating it time-wise was really hard.
What day are we on?
Oh my god. Well, this is my third week. Actually, I'm really gonna count this really fast. Day 21. Kind of tried just my best to think about how long things might take me to paint based on knowing how I paint and also knowing the style of painting, like line work versus filling things in. Also try to leave time for like touch-ups, things that go wrong, delays, things like that. And I kind of came up with this timeline of like thinking it would take me about a month to actually install this.
And was that accurate?
It pretty much was, I will say. 31 days to be exact that it took to paint this whole wall. And I had some assistance from Paul. Having Paul supportive in all ways during this process has been incredible. It's been like truly probably the reason that I was able to move through it. In both of kind of the time periods where I was winding down, like you start to go into crunch mode where it's like, okay, I'll be pulling a 14-hour day again. I'll be missing dinner again. I'll be really kind of intense version of my life for a few days. He was like basically keeping the rest of our lives on track. So much positive support and sending me messages of like, you got this, it's so awesome, and he just reminded me so many times of it being a big deal and that I should be really proud of it, which was really nice to hear because I was so close and it was hard to see that sometimes, and that's like, I can't thank him enough for that. It was awesome to have somebody who's also creative, who like understands this world, be able to be part of this process and kind of give me feedback and encouragement, but also like actually help me paint the wall, which was so helpful and such a game changer, and also fun to just like share those moments together and be able to look at the wall now and know like the parts that each of us completed. It's really awesome and I love having that. I think I was on like a total adrenaline like rush. There were times during the day where I started to joke that I felt like I was in like a zoo or something because I felt like I was kind of on display, like painting this mural. At one point, part of the letters that were supposed to get installed in the wall for the main logo got thrown out. This is supposed to be a 3D element. The original plan was not to paint the letters, but I ended up painting the letters as a quick fix backup. A lot of just having to roll with it was happening, but it was a great lesson in just being flexible and being able to roll with the punches when things get crazy. Kind of the final 2 weeks, there were definitely times where I was like, man, is this thing ever gonna be finished? It just felt like the wall kept growing and I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna finish it. The whole mural is kind of like these macro and micro scenes of New York. So it's things you'd recognize, buildings that but also moments where people are just enjoying the city, walking on the High Line with a coffee or walking dogs in front of brownstone. This mural is made up of so much line work. It is, that's why it's so time consuming. Kind of just tracing shapes and places and things, but it's making sure every line is at least somewhat consistent, even though I want them to still feel hand done. I do have a favorite section. This is my favorite spot in the mural. 2 people kind of sharing a martini and a slice of pizza in front of a restaurant that has some florals installed on the facade. Just the most New York moment that could happen. My New York of me with my friends on a Friday night or something, grabbing a drink, and it's perfect weather, so we're eating outside. It just has that vibe, and I love walking past that part of the wall. This mural taught me so much, I feel about what I can do, what I'm capable of. I started in Soho, moved to Midtown, then I moved uptown, and then I ended downtown. This is the biggest mural I've ever painted. It's the most wall space I've ever covered with my own art. I hope it brings them joy. Most of all, I hope they feel inspiring and busy, but also peaceful energy of New York as they're walking along it. I hope it makes them feel that feeling that you get when you're outside walking through the streets of Manhattan. You just kind of feel this collective sense of, yeah, we're all out here and there's so much going on at this very moment. People falling in love, people getting married, people going to work, people going to school. All of that's happening simultaneously, and I hope it feels like that a little bit in the mural, but in a more digestible way, where it's kind of just a day in the life and you're popping in by all of these bits and pieces of people's lives, and that it's getting to just see a glimpse of all the beautiful and crazy things that happen here. I hope when people see my artwork that they recognize some of the stylistic stuff of just the influences that I pull from. I hope that they can just also feel my passion and energy for creating things. I just had so much of myself that went into it. Not only was it made well, but then it was made by somebody who really wanted to be part of it and who had the joy making it that they hopefully have experiencing it. It's getting so close. This project felt so aligned with everything that brings me joy while I'm working. I was so happy to do it. I was waking up really in a great mood so many of the days, popping on my jumpsuit and hopping on the subway with my bag to go back there for 12 hours and paint again. They just made me feel success is that. It's being able to live that life. My definition of art, it's expressing yourself in a way that's not just visual, but intangibly impacting other people. It's a tool for society, a tool for change, it's a tool to give people a voice. It's a tool to share joy, share love, share emotions, but it's also just I don't know, to me the lifeblood of society, because without it, what do we have to look to in all of the ups, downs, in between times that people go through? It's the connecting piece. It's that piece that's the extra thing that's there that you don't always appreciate, but I think it's a thing that you always need to be there to kind of make everything feel complete. That's the most beautiful part of life, and people being able to share that with the world.